Alright, I guess I'll start recording that video for my midterm now, but I can't do it without my microphone. That was convenient, but I forgot my headphones. Oh, thank you. Alright, let's see the assignment. Theater has shaped society through the ages, pushed thought forward, and struggled with new ideas. It is your turn to discover a piece of theater that played a significant role in the world. I could take the easy way out here. I could talk about Hairspray, I could talk about Angels in America, but nah. I'm gonna challenge myself because we're talking about Spongebob the musical tonight. But before that, let's start with a little history about theater. To most of you that don't know this, theater geeks are as old as time itself, or should I say, theater Greeks. Dating as far back as 5th century BC with the theater of Dionysus, men have been dressing up in little skirts and dancing around longer than the invention of plumbing. Getting back on track, let's jump to 2016, the year where it all went downhill. And why did it go downhill? Well, that, but there's also a lot more. Like for starters, climate change. In 2016, we as an entire globe experienced one of the hottest years on record, literally only just being inched out by 2023. Great! Even before that, climate change was having a slow but steady rise, so it's important we need to do our part as a frickin' species, or else we're gonna destroy the Earth. Let's talk about American society at the time. 2016 was when we saw a massive rise in the Black Lives Matter movement, with bigger protests happening and it gaining massive celebrity support, with people like LeBron James. The musical offers a large section to comment on bigotry, as well as the government administration at the time. There are major characters in this performance that have never appeared in SpongeBob before, like the mayor, a not-so-subtle reference to the acting president, and a separate character who serves as a personification of the media as a whole. But I'm getting ahead of myself. What better way to raise awareness for pressing societal issues than pairing it with SpongeBob? It transforms kind of rough topics into an approachable medium when SpongeBob is singing and dancing about it. But how does SpongeBob sing and dance about it, you might ask? Headlined by Ethan Slater, who not only gave a great performance here, but another great performance to Ariana Grande, the plot of the SpongeBob musical follows our favorite SpongeBob characters, Patrick, Sandy, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, Mrs. Puff, Larry the Lobster, and tons more as a horrific Mount Humongous is threatening to blow up and wipe out Bikini Bottom. Plankton is planning something evil as usual, and it's up to SpongeBob and Sandy to save the day. Pretty basic stuff. It takes a lot of cues from the movie, such as SpongeBob's arc of not wanting to be looked at as a kid, but instead revolves the plot around a much more earth-shattering, unstoppable force of nature, or in this case, global warming. Plankton not so subtly raises a point about dismissing global warming so he can hypnotize Bikini Bottom.
Do any of you actually believe that science can save us?
Well, of course, it's science.
Oh, come on! Next she'll tell us tidal warming is real.
And a whole section is then led to talk about not trusting science, headlined by the villain, of course. They wrap this point along with the best and most rounded character in the play to tie it back to bigotry, Sandy Cheeks. Sandy in the cartoon is a land squirrel from Texas who wears a spacesuit to live underwater with all the fish. She has a knack for science and karate, and is portrayed by Amanda Reed in the musical, a woman of color. Comparing Sandy to the Sandy in the cartoon, there's only 2 episodes where they kind of explore how Sandy's different, but in 11 minutes, you can't accomplish a complete, meaningful arc. Later on, there's portions of the musical where people don't trust her science, specifically Old Man Jenkins. They say it's because it came from a land mammal or someone different from them. They tell her to go home and that she's not wanted in Bikini Bottom anymore. This leads to a fire musical number of her not feeling confident in her invention and almost giving up before SpongeBob and Patrick help to lift her back up. During this number, Sandy regains her confidence and remembers her own strength, but she's still heartbroken and betrayed by Bikini Bottom. All of this is personified by Old Man Jenkins and shows some pretty accurate similarities to the old people of the United States in 2016.
I'm gonna find someone to blame for all this.
What about the squirrel? That whole science thing is pretty suspicious.
And just to clarify, a big importance of this musical, the SpongeBob musical, as opposed to other plays, is that it's being shown to kids. Sometimes when these massive events happen in our world and it shows up in the news, it's okay to demonstrate plainly to kids what it is. And I'm not saying this to discredit the musical, because these messages can obviously reach more than just little kids. It just presented a little more plainer. And after saying that, the show has a little more commentary that would go right over the heads of kids regarding the government. As previously mentioned, there's a character simply known as the mayor, and when Bikini Bottom is in disarray, she tries to lead them, but it in turn only causes more chaos.
Don't believe the media. Everything is under control.
This is the government's fault.
This is the media's fault.
It's your fault!
A scene where a government leader specifically moves the blame from her towards the media. That is very interesting and maybe a little reflective of the president at the time, huh? But anyway, I just threw a lot of themes at you, so let's wrap it all up in terms of the musical. Bikini Bottom is on the brink of a natural disaster wiping out the town. The mayor is not doing anything to deal with this looming threat of natural disaster. She's actually only harming it. The town is in disarray and chaos. All of this chaos causes Old Man Jenkins and the fish to start being racist towards land mammals. How is all of this resolved? But SpongeBob, we can see the comparisons to all those real-world events, but what does SpongeBob represent? He represents a lens to view the world through. He represents the kid inside all of us, the boundless positivity in the face of adversity.
Like I said before, SpongeBob, the world is a horrible place filled with fear, suffering, and despair. And you didn't believe me?
Well, I still don't.
Yeah, the world stinks, and it seems like everything's gonna end sometimes, but maybe if we could see the world a little more like SpongeBob, everything wouldn't be so crappy all the time. To really put it simply, SpongeBob is a personification of how you can think, how you can approach these difficult situations. So the next time you think SpongeBob can't have an emotional message and you think it's stupid, there's a name for employees like this.
But we'll call him Squidward.
I'm getting paid overtime for this, right, Mr. Krabs?
Thank you for watching, and good night, Bikini Bottom.